Yo, what's good, y'all? It's your boy Busy coming at y'all with another UFC 5 tutorial. And in this one, I'm going to be teaching y'all some high level tips. I'm going to be teaching y'all how to defend the attacker's transition from back sitting. It's a position that a lot of higher level division players use and exploit often. And this video is going to be very informational, yeah. I'm going to be pouring out a lot of knowledge in this video and provide some timestamps and notes on the screen so you could better understand my point. So let's get right into it. Alright, so again, I'm going to be teaching you how to defend if you're Shavkat Rakhmonov and you're trying to defend the attacker, which is Damian Maya. And I'm going to teach you how to defend the submissions from both sides because it is going to change, but I'm going to teach you some basic principles to make this a little bit easier. So the first tip I have for y'all is really just to lock in. There's a lot of detail that you have to pay attention to in order to be successful at denying transitions here. But the second tip, that's the most important tip, is pay attention to the elbow side of the attacker. So in this scenario, you want to be paying attention to Damian Maya's elbow on the left side of the screen, because that left side of the screen and his elbow being on the left side is going to tell you that the full mount and the armbar transition is going to be denied to the left. And again, the full another tip I want to give you is that the full mount transition is going to be on your hand. The arm bar is going to be on your wrist, and the rear naked choke is going to be on the forearm and the wrist area. I'm going to explain that in a little bit more detail as I explain the submissions, but also another thing is, and also like why you really want to just focus on the side that Damian Maya's elbows on because that right transition to backside is undeniable. So I'm gonna show you what that looks like. Backside going right. It's undeniable. You can't do anything. So let's get into actually going into the details of defending the submissions now. So I'm gonna go back into back sitting. Keeping that elbow tip in mind with Damian Maya, the next thing you kind of want to pay attention to is the arm, the hand and the arm that's opposite of Damian Maya's elbow. So in this case, you want to be focusing on Shavkat's left arm that's on the right side of the screen, because that's going to guide you in defending all of the transitions. But let's actually focus just on submissions first, then we'll talk about full mount and put it all together so it makes sense, right? So not only does Damian Maya use different hands, but he also grabs different parts of your arm to let you know which side that you got to defend. I'm going to explain that in a little bit. But if you don't know by now, to defend in this position, the arm bar, you want to hold the trigger and flick the right stick to the hold the right trigger and flick the right stick to the left for the arm bar. But if you want to defend the rear naked choke, you want to hold the right trigger and flick to the right. That's not a high level tip, but here's the high level tip. Now, here's what you really want to pay attention to. This is why I'm telling you to pay attention to the elbow side, right? So if he's gonna go for the arm bar, he's gonna grab Shavkat Rakhmonov's wrist like this. And if he grabs the wrist, that means you gotta defend left, right? So the arm bar means he grabs the wrist, and that means you gotta defend left, just like that. But if he's gonna go for the rear naked choke, he's gonna grab your forearm first instead, like this. Forearm, and he uses a whole different hand. Grabs the forearm, and that's how you know how to defend to the right because you're like, hey, he's grabbing my forearm, not my wrist, so I gotta defend right this time. Because if he's gonna try to grab your wrist, that means you're gonna have to defend left. And that's the way you could kind of tell the difference. Again, arm bar to the left is the wrist, and then rear naked choke to the right is grabbing the forearm. Now, let's actually talk about how to defend the full mount because it looks a little similar, right? But there are some distinct differences, and let's put it all together. So let's get into talking about full mount now. All right, so now let's talk about defending the full mount transition. So first off, to defend the full mount transition in this position, it's holding the right trigger and flicking to the left, but that's a basic tip. So let's talk again about the high level tips and what you really want to focus in on here, right? So when he's going for the full mount transition, he's going to try to grab your knuckles now. So where that UFC logo is on Shavkat's glove, that's what's gonna be grabbed first if he goes for full mount. So it's gonna look like this grabs that UFC logo first, those knuckles. And this looks very similar to the rear naked choke, right? If we look at it really quickly, the full mount looks very similar to the rear naked choke because he's using the same hand. But there's some distinct differences you want to be mindful of. The speed of the transition, right? Full mount is a lot faster than the rear naked choke, right? But also, the most important tip is the location of where he's grabbing your hand, right? He's grabbing your hand as opposed to grabbing your forearm. Now, let's put everything together on what I just explained, right? So, when you're defending the full mount, you know he's gonna grab your knuckles like this. Full mount, he's grabbing your knuckles. And when he goes for the arm bar, he's gonna grab on your wrist, and both of those are to the left. Both of those are to the left, right? And if he's gonna go for the rear naked choke, he's gonna grab your forearm like this. So let's just look at that in a sequence again. Full mount is the knuckles, arm bar is the wrist, and the rear naked choke is the forearm first. So those are the three main differences that you really want to pay attention to. And if you put that all together, the full mount, you kind of just want to cut off where Shavkat Rakhmonov's wrist is because that'll be your signal on how to defend. And just to go deeper, again, watch. Both of the left side transitions are going to be from the wrist to the knuckle. So what I mean by that again, full mount to the left, right, is the knuckles. Arm bar to the left is the wrist, and the rear naked choke is completely on the other side. It's on the forearm. So if you really just paid attention to Shavkat Rakhmonov's arm and where Damian Maia is planting first, that'll even be a even better tip to really guide you in how to defend the transitions that he's going for. Yeah, man, this is really high level. I think a lot of people don't really talk about this in their videos. Haven't really seen anybody talk about this. If it is confusing, I definitely suggest that you rewind and watch it back because once you master this, it's gonna take practice, but once you master it, you're gonna be like a pro, and people are not even gonna want to hold you in this back position because they're not gonna be able to do anything but just punch you like this until the ref stands you up. And even that'll probably throw them off. But just to show you guys that the same principles still apply, and if you want to stay with me throughout this video, I'm going to switch the sides that Damian Maia's elbow is on, just to show you that the transitions change, but the same principles still apply. So on that portion of the video, I'm not going to put as many notes because I'm going to try to push through the rest of the video, but let's get into that really quickly. Alright, chat, so I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible, but just to show you that the same principle applies, now we see Damian Maia's elbow on the right side and Shavkat's elbow on the left side of the screen, and we notice that the full mount transition is actually on the right side this time, and the arm bar is on the right side and the rear naked choke is on the left, right? So just to show you again that the same principle still applies. The full mount, he's gonna grab on my knuckles so that UFC logo is gonna disappear, right? And we're gonna have to defend right. Full mount, grabs the knuckles. We gotta defend that on the right side, right? But if he's going for the arm bar, which is on the right side this time, he's gonna grab on my wrist. Look at that. Grabbing on my wrist and still defending right. But this time, if he's gonna go for the rear naked choke, he's gonna grab on my forearm and it's gonna be to the left. And it's completely opposite side. So again, if you combine those principles I just taught y'all and practice, because it's gonna take some practice and you're gonna have to lock in when you're in this position. I promise y'all, man, you're gonna be defending this position at an elite level. You're gonna be able to really discourage people from trying to get into back sitting position, man, because there's a lot of people who's really cheesing this right now. But yeah, man, that is gonna be the end of the video. I don't want to keep it too long for y'all. If y'all did get something from this video, man, I really am trying to put like some meaningful content out on UFC 5. Some content that can help the whole community improve as a whole. But I'm just getting started on this journey. But again, if y'all really like this video, if y'all got something from it, please, man, leave a like on it. I would definitely appreciate it. Slap a sub, turn on that notification bell so you know when I'm posting another video, because I am trying to put out a lot of UFC 5 content. So yeah, man. If y'all like the video, if y'all still here up to this point, man, I appreciate it. Hope y'all have a good day, man, and I'll see you on the next one.